Just a quick review of the book, Exercises to Relief Shoulder Pain. I think they actually meant to relieve shoulder pain, anyway. But yeah, the book is divided up into 10 parts. I'll go over each real briefly just to let you know what's in the book. Part one is everything you need to know about chronic shoulder pain. Talks about what is the cause of persistent pain in the shoulder. Part two goes over shoulder conditions. So this part, what they do is they list a condition, like say for instance, they'll list like bursitis, and then after that they'll just have treatment. And they'll have things like, they'll say like resting and gentle stretching, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how they cover that. It does cover a lot of different conditions like fractures, arthritis, tendonitis, and so on. The third part is general self-care. Fourth part is causes of right arm pain. Fifth is brachioneuritis. Six talks about how to use the right pillow. Seven is shoulder exercises and stretches. Part eight is preventing shoulder pain, and when to see a doctor. Nine is sore shoulder remedies, and then 10 is kind of a conclusion. So yeah, a lot of information in this book. Probably the biggest problem I have with a book like this is that it basically shows you how to treat a lot of different conditions, but you're never going to have all of those conditions. So you're really going to end up buying and getting a lot of information that you probably don't use. For instance, nobody's going to have a shoulder fracture, arthritis, tendonitis, and a tumor in their shoulder. So, why do you need to know about all those? That's when it's better, I think, to get, that's why I think some books that are bought just for specific conditions, like let's say there's, like a book on like shoulder arthritis, so then you're getting just information on your condition. In this book, you're getting a lot of information, so that's a good thing, but you're going to get a lot of information that you're probably not going to need because you're just not going to ever have all those shoulder conditions. But yeah, other than that one point, a lot of information. Glad to see there's some shoulder pain books out there. One I really like in particular that's a real common problem is torn rotator cuff. You have a rotator cuff issue. The 6-minute torn rotator cuff solution for seniors, and not really just for seniors, so you can almost kind of ignore that. It's for anybody really with a rotator cuff problem, by Jim Johnson PT. Book's been out, while still getting great reviews. Basically, if there's one cure-all treatment for a shoulder, if there's going to be one for a shoulder problem, it's strengthening your rotator cuff. Your rotator cuff is the main stabilizer of your shoulder. Your shoulder is really just a really shallow ball and socket joint, held together really mainly. There's some ligaments and everything, of course, soft tissue, but mainly it's the rotator cuff that's providing stability as you move your shoulder. So you'd be surprised if you get good rotator cuff strength and stability. And you have a stable shoulder, it's going to treat a whole bunch of conditions. Like you're not going to get that little excessive motion, a few millimeters extra motion in your shoulder that could cause bursitis, tendonitis, bicipital tendonitis, even arthritis. If you get good stability in the shoulder, it's going to be put a lot less stress on, say, your acromioclavicular joint. But anyway, this is just, if you have any kind of problem with your rotator cuff and you want to know like what to do, this is it. Basically it covers, like what is the rotator cuff. It's kind of an anatomy chapter. Then it goes into things like answers you need to know. Stuff like, what are the symptoms of a rotator cuff? Do you really have one? Are there any arm maneuvers that are indicative of a rotator cuff problem? Where exactly does it tear at? Which is good to know. There are different types of tears. It says, are there different kinds of tears? And where it tears also depends on, can in large extent depend on the treatment for it. So always good to know. Does having a torn rotator cuff set me up for getting shoulder arthritis? What happens if I have a rotator cuff tear alone? What if I just leave it alone? Like, what if you do nothing? So the only way you're going to know answers to that is by if you take a group of people with a rotator cuff and you don't really treat it and you follow them for like 5, 10, 15 years. This guy's done a good job. This book is heavily evidence-based, and it's just based solely on research, and it quotes it in a very layperson-friendly manner. These little boxes are the studies. So he went through all the research for you, looking for all the research where there are untreated rotator cuff tears, and you follow people for like 10 years. What happens to it? And this will tell you. Let's see, does having a torn set me up? Okay, I said that. So how does exercise compare to surgery to rotator cuff? So the only way you're really going to know that, the book says, is if you look at all the randomized controlled trials. That's the best proof in medicine that a treatment's really effective. That's where you randomly assign people to like surgery or exercise, and then you follow them for 6 months to a year and see how they did. you know, come to find out, whether you have exercise or surgery, you're going to end up at the same place. And that's based on just randomized controlled trials. It's all published research. I mean, just, if you want to go ahead and try and collect all of it, good luck. But this guy's done all the job for you. To that end, the book ends with a great exercise program for your rotator cuff. It has 3 levels, an intermediate, a beginning, intermediate, and advanced. So, some people might have a torn rotator cuff and maybe their symptoms aren't that bad and they can still move it around, but it nags at them once in a while. Then they can tolerate more exercise. That'd be an advanced program. You'd start there. Otherwise, if you just had a fresh tear, it's torn, recently, you might want to start with the beginning one, if you can hardly move your shoulder. So anyway, a lot of benefit to this book. But I really like that they're coming out books for seniors too. And I like these specific kind of books too for your condition. But hey, if you're looking for a book, then you're looking for a wealth of information about shoulder pain, this would be worthwhile to check out. So yeah, there you go.